BlacKklansman is a crime drama film and is directed by Spike Lee and stars John David Washington and Adam Driver. And the film is about an African-American detective who infiltrates the KKK. This is one of Spike Lee's best films in a while. And with Spike Lee, he is an interesting director. I find myself going half and half on his films. Half of his films I think are amazing. The other half of the films he makes I find to be a little bit questionable, but despite disappointments like that, he has made more great films than bad ones. And I know the general consensus agrees that Do the Right Thing is his best film, and I do like the film. It is great, but it wasn't as strong as I thought it was going to be. For me, his two best films, and I have a hard time picking which one is the absolute best one, is Malcolm X and 25th Hour. And if you've never seen those films, I would recommend going out of your way to find those films and watch them. Getting into BlacKklansman, like I said, this is a great Spike Lee movie, and this is up there as one of his top films. The film is very strong and powerful. It is also very well acted, with John David Washington and Adam Driver being the absolute standouts. And with John David Washington specifically, it was eerie how much he channeled young Denzel Washington. As for those who don't know, John David and Denzel are father and son. Something I haven't brought up yet is the comedy factor. And while the film does promote itself as a comedy crime drama film, the comedy elements are only used sparsely. This film is a straightforward, straight-up drama film, and a lot of the content in the film can be uncomfortable to watch, as this film deals with a topic which sadly is still going on today. And this film does a clever job of reflecting what happened then to what is happening now. One line of dialogue in particular hits it right on the nose. Something I have to credit to Spike Lee is the amount of power he puts into his films, because the stuff he puts in comes from a real place. And he also has this way of giving us what I think are some of the best main characters in film. It dawned on me after I watched this film, but the main characters in Spike Lee's films are put in a situation where they either rise up and do something about it, or just sit back and do nothing. And what I mean by that, for example, is in Malcolm X, the character played by Denzel Washington stands up for what he believes in and fights for what is right. And in 25th Hour, with the Edward Norton character, he accepts the mistake he's made, makes amends with his friends and family, and heads to prison for 7 years. And it's the same thing with John David Washington's character. He's put in a situation whether he rises up and does something, or sits back and let the chaos happen. And I had to really think about it. Spike Lee turns the viewer of the film into an observer of what is happening, because the stuff that happens in the film actually happened. And the ending itself was really uncomfortable and hard to watch. This film isn't without its flaws, and there were quite a few, but not enough to really detract from my experience of the film. For one thing, the pacing in the film is very slow going. The film only is 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it felt like 3 hours. This film also lacked the punch that Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing had. Overall, this was a strong showing by Spike Lee. And while this film might not be for everyone, as it does deal with an uncomfortable topic, I would still recommend the film. The acting from everyone involved was amazing. The message got across strongly. Something I forgot to mention, the cinematography was pitch perfect. And this is one of the better films of the year. The only real major thing that is holding this film back for me is if it was paced better. But despite that, this was still a fantastic and great movie. And I'm going to give BlacKklansman a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you for watching.